It's the same feeling I get when I see advertising about giving babies COVID vaccines. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Wouldn't it be extraordinary to learn that Moderna, an emergent Johnny-come-lately corporation, hustlers in the world of big pharma, were offering children money to take their vaccine? Wouldn't you regard that as something akin to Prohibition-era gangsterism? Let's have a look. Moderna has been rebuked by regulators after offering children cash to test the COVID vaccine. The pharmaceutical company was ordered to pay £14,000 after it emerged that a representative had sent WhatsApp messages offering £1,500 to children. The UK Prescription Medicines Code of Practice ruled that the offer amounted to an inappropriate financial inducement and found the company had brought discredit on the pharmaceutical industry. And that's not easily done after the way the Sackler family behaved during the opioid crisis. That's not easily done after Johnson & Johnson put carcinogens into baby powder, although that was never proven in court because they were out-of-court settlements. Under the Medicines for Human Use regulations, it's prohibited for incentives or financial inducements to be given to children or their parents. Since 2019, AstraZeneca, Pfizer and GSK have all been rebuked by the PMCRA, that's the regulatory body in the UK, for misleading the public about the efficacy of their vaccines. What's extraordinary is that we have to even consider these matters. And during the election of our current globalist, authoritarian Prime Minister Keir Starmer, no one was talking about the pandemic era. There was a sort of kangaroo court inquiry that tried to blame individuals and sort of essentially said people tried their best, and wasn't it awful that there were those sort of parties and gatherings that high-level officials attended, like Gavin Newsom in your country, in the state of California, where our entire government were attending parties during the pandemic period. Note that these kind of, I don't know, slightly more visceral, scintillating, almost celebrity tittle-tattle stories dominate when what we're actually facing is global corporatism. Let me know in the comments and chat what you imagine global corporatism would look like on a spiritual plane, because to me it looks like a force emanating light. To me it looks like a new orthodoxy. To me it looks like new power, taking power away from the only power that should be revered and regarded. Let me know in the comments and the chat what you think about that. Now, a person that's been open, outspoken and punished as a result throughout the entire pandemic era, and is indeed the great exemplar of the power of new media, a power that even Kamala Harris is embracing now by appearing on a podcast that, you know, sort of is kind of jarring to see her on, isn't it? Let me know what you think about that. Is, of course, Joe Rogan. Here he is offering a brutal reality check on pushing vaccines on babies. I don't even know yet if he's talking about COVID vaccines or the whole roster of potentially lethal vaccines that are being offered to little children. Why? Is it for their health, or is there some other benefit? Look at the world you've been living in. Look at what appear to be the motivations of these powerful institutions and deduce for yourself, using available information, what you consider the truth to be.
It's the same feeling I get when I see advertising about giving babies COVID vaccines. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're just trying to make money. You're not trying to protect babies from COVID.
Yep.
That's fucking nonsense. It's not a problem with them. It's just not. It's just statistically not an issue. It's certainly not an issue for you to be promoting this potentially dangerous remedy.
Yeah, another example of that is that, you know, we were a foster family growing up. So we had up to 7 foster kids at a time in my house. And I remember that the Hep V vaccines that all those little kids had to get. And I didn't think about it at the time, but again, hearing some of my friends like Callie and Casey talk about it, the vaccine schedule's crazy because you're giving a child, a brand new baby, essentially a Hep B vaccine. The only 2 ways to contract hepatitis B is basically you're injecting
Needles
drugs
or
sexual activity.
Yeah.
An infant's not going to have that. So why expose them to the risk factor of a potential adverse event when we know autism rates are through the roof? All of these different health issues for children are climbing. And at some point, we have to assess what we're doing and say, isn't there a better way? But I know enough about how that system works and how things are negotiated on the back end in the lobby, and now it's established, and now it's hammered home, and then you assemble, and you go have a meet with all the pediatricians nationwide, and you have people as spokesperson that push that agenda and get senators and congressmen and women on the hook to go, yes, we need these vaccines incorporated as part of our policy to protect these children. And I don't think it's not that it was there. I don't think everyone's in on it. I think people are being duped.
Perhaps over the course of our conversation today, these things have become clear. Independent media is necessary. We cannot yield to censorship. Free speech is the value upon which all other values are hung and strung and upon which they depend. We have to be able to disagree with one another openly. We have to be able to have a live discourse about difficult subjects, whether it's gun ownership, abortion, the power of religion, the necessity for a surveillance state or censorship, globalism, war, how wars are funded, why if you can't speak openly about that stuff, we're going to be deluged by tyranny. There's no question about that. We've seen how certain serpents appear and emerge continually, time after time. Words like Halliburton are sigils. Names like Cheney should be an alarm bell to you. This is a time for new alliances to be considered, like alliances between Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump. Is that more significant than the Cheneys endorsing Kamala Harris? Which one of those endorsements gives you the most hope? Which gives you the most dread? Let me know in the comments and the chat. Let's be honest, most K-Cup pods are serving you mouldy, pesticide-laden rubbish. Chains like Dunkin', they're stinking the place out with their stale coffee and expecting you to say cheers. 1775 Coffee makes sure you don't have to drink a chemical soup when you want a caffeine lift. 1775 Coffee steps in to slap the mediocrity right out of the competition. Their K-Cup pods are filled with single origin, high-altitude beans, hand-picked by people who know what flavour actually is. It's coffee that will slap your brain fast awake. Faster, in fact, than a government scandal. Who doesn't need an injection of this new caffeine inflection? Kamala Biden? Get this stuff down you. You've got a choice of medium roast, dark roast and mushroom blend. Yeah, actual mushrooms like lion's mane and reishi to boost your brain power as well as giving you an immediate lift. Because let's be honest, if your coffee isn't strong enough to overthrow a small government, what's the point? This coffee is for people who don't want a participation trophy. This is coffee for winners. Go to 1775coffee.com, grab your 24-pack and tell Corporate Coffee to take a hike. That's go to 1775coffee.com, grab your 24-pack and tell Corporate Coffee to take a hike. Caffeine that will help you overthrow the powerful. Our new The Oracle series, our first ever group interviews designed to bring the greatest and most authoritative voices in particular subjects together for the very first time. Robert Malone, Dr. Pierre Corey and Steve Kirsch.
What we've experienced is a globally deployed psychological bioterrorism playbook. It's well developed.
And then I started to see just global propaganda directed at essentially distorting, dismissing, and suppressing the evidence of efficacy. And I saw it as a crime.
And at that point, I knew that this was not just a coincidence. There were too many black swans over too short a period. I've never heard anything like this story in my life.
They seem to get the human psyche so well when it comes to brainwashing us and propagandizing us to the direction that they want us to go in, that you would think that they would know that pulling all of these various tactics would actually just push support towards Trump, not away from him.
Ryan Ruth, some of his posts even show that he appeared to have been working with, in his own words, the U.S. Embassy in Kiev. He's doing effectively military intelligence, human trafficking of terrorists.
It's in this context that I think Ruth was kind of radicalized. He decided that while he wanted to assassinate Putin, the easier thing would be to assassinate Donald Trump.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.